Hello, welcome to Adobe Live. Thank you so much for joining in today. I am Jordan Danae Ellis, Community Manager for Adobe Express, and I'm here with Andy Lambert. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Jordan. How are you?
Good. We are back with another social media, a Get Social recap. We're doing it like for last month since it was the holidays. So this is everything that happened for the end of last year and all the updates that have come so far this year. So if you have not been keeping up on the trends of social media over the holidays, as I honestly hope none of the rest of you have, because we can do that for you. We'll be here to talk about everything new that's happening, but let's introduce ourselves. Do you want to go first?
Thank you. It's very kind. I'm Andy. And if we've not met before, I'm one of the product managers here at Adobe Express, particularly working on their content scheduler feature. Background is all in social media, building strategies, etc. So back over to you, Jordan.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a community manager for Adobe Express. So my pre-Adobe background is in small business. I've been an entrepreneur for the past, I think it's 13 years now that we're in a new year, which is wild. And so I use all of the tools in Adobe Express for my own side gigs still. And so I'm here to help small businesses and brands figure out how to honestly make your workflows make more sense and use your time more wisely, because that's one of the tricks of running a small business, is that you have to do a billion things at once. So hopefully we can make your job a little easier by giving you lots of information and ideas and tips and tricks and stuff. So that's me.
Well, we've got a lot to cover today,
Yeah.
considering we're about 6 weeks worth of stuff. So hopefully by the end of today, you'll feel completely on top of everything that's happened in the world of social. So data, trends, all the new updates you need to know. So quite a lot coming your way over the next kind of 55 minutes or so, but this is on demand, etc. So you can obviously catch up at any point. And if we just dive into the deck in a second, we've got another resource for you.
Yeah.
So a new thing for 2020.
Brand new.
Yeah, hot off the press. So if you like keeping on top of these trends and you want it delivered straight to your inbox, which are kind of like written summaries of everything that's happening in the world of social, also you can catch up on replays to the things we're doing right now, as well as getting hot takes from leaders in social, and basically one single newsletter delivered once a month where you can stay on top of all things social media. So that's our New Year's commitment to you, entirely free. Deliver that to your inboxes every single month. So I'm very excited to do that. And the first edition will come out at the end of this month. That's right, isn't it, Jordan? I think.
Yeah. So this is just our way of making this even easier for you. Instead of trying to keep up with where we post videos and everything we're posting on social, you can still follow us there for little tidbits throughout the month. But if you want to get everything in one place, this is it. I'm really, really excited.
That's the one. And I think we'll share the link in the chat.
Already doing it.
Yes, of course, yeah, we're happy to take any questions throughout the course of today. And this just provides another communication channel, so you can get in touch via email, whatever platform is good for you. We're on it too. So email, lives, and of course, probably a good time just to mention where people can find you on socials as well, Jordan.
Yeah, I am at Jordan Danae Ellis everywhere. I even revamped my Tumblr and Pinterest over the holidays, so I'm literally everywhere, I think, just to say that I'm trying them all out. And you are?
Andy R. Lambert.
Yeah.
Across every single social channel. Right then, let's get into some of the goodness, shall we? Like I said, 3 things. We're going to hit you with some data first, because we all love some nerdy numbers, or maybe that's just me, who knows? But let's go into some data, then we'll look at some trends. So what are we seeing changing over the course of December last year into January, and what's going to be trending over the course of this year? Of course, new things will crop up every single month, of which we'll keep you in the loop with. But finally, we're going to go through network by network, covering every single new feature you need to know, because they release lots of things over the course of a month, but not all of them do you need to know, because some of them are just super minor tweaks. So what we like to highlight here are the ones that actually are meaningful for your business. So let's dive in, shall we? Let's start with TikTok's growth over the last 4 years. So this is a really good predictor as to where the future growth of platforms will be going. And as you can see, they're all going up and to the right. So none of these platforms are going away anytime soon. As much as the media might like to say like, oh, Twitter's a complete mess, it's going to go away. It's just not going to happen, right? Not in the short term anyway, and certainly not over the course of 23. Similar with Facebook, even though it's not the cool platform anymore, it's still, look how frequently it's downloaded across the world. It still has near enough 3 billion monthly users.
That's
Facebook
wild.
not going away. But TikTok's growth is real, right? So it's super significant, and unless the US government bans it over the course of 2023, which is going to be an interesting one to watch. One, I can't predict how that's going to play out. But for now, it remains the fastest growing platform by a significant margin. But the reason that it's so significant, we've spoken about this before, but this is some of the latest data I've seen over the last month, is the frequency of those users. And that's the thing that really is driving a huge amount of growth on TikTok right now. That's not to say everyone needs to abandon every platform and join TikTok, etc. But it is significant how much time people are spending on the platform. It is 10 times higher than that of Instagram. Wild. So it's massively significant. It's become an ingrained part of many people's everyday lives, a part of culture. It's becoming an entertainment platform as TV is. So, and I think there's an important distinction to make with TikTok is like actually not seeing it as a social platform at all, seeing it as an entertainment medium like TV, like streaming, like Netflix or whatever. And I think that's the thing that's particularly significant about TikTok, which kind of leads into this. And I'm open up after this to get your take on this as well, Jordan, because how people are using it. And I found this data particularly interesting because one of the things that we, Jordan and I often hear is like, TikTok isn't for me, my business shouldn't be on it. What's the audience like? Are my audience on TikTok essentially? Which, is a hard question to answer sometimes. And this is some data which can kind of help make you make the right decision strategically as to whether this is a good platform for you. But here's the main uses that an audience typically would use TikTok for based on this research. And you'll see like the links to the sources for the research at the bottom of the charts. Number one is slightly depressing, really, as like a
it's so real though.
Yeah, I'm bored. I'm just gonna scroll. But that's the thing, it's done so well. It's replaced that gap in our lives where we might have historically gone to YouTube, gone to TV. Essentially, I don't know what to do with the next 5 minutes. I've got idle hands. I'm literally going to default to TikTok. And that's why we're seeing users open it so frequently. And the reason it's kind of pivoting away from being like a social platform is that it's not dependent on how many friends you have or your social graph as to whether content's going to be seen or not. But the thing that is also slightly more encouraging though when we're looking at using TikTok from a business perspective is if you kind of look down some of these other statements that people are making as to why they use TikTok, like keeping up with news, obviously quite important. We'll talk about news in a second. Keeping up with brands, education and learning, discovering new products to purchase, keeping up with creators. So you'll start to see some like really good dynamics here as to what can really support brands and what people are looking for from the platform. It is increasingly become, yes, it's an entertainment platform, but increasingly becoming a place where people learn. You'll see, I don't know if you're seeing a lot of the ads in the US at the moment, we're certainly seeing loads in the UK, which is like really hammering the learn on TikTok message where they're leaning in on that educational side, which for businesses represents a really good content angle. Right, lots of waffling from me straight off the bat. So curious to get your take, Jordan.
I mean, I definitely think the mindless entertainment is totally correct. Like, that's the thing that I feel like makes me stay on the platform longer than I expect to. Like, I imagine this is relatable. One of those things where you're like, oh, let me just check. And then you're on for half an hour because it's so smart the way videos just keep coming. Like, you don't have to search for them. You don't have to even if you're going out and looking for entertainment, like going to, Hulu or Netflix or something, you still have to pick what you're watching. This is just like, here you go. And if you don't like it, you can get another video in a second. And I think that makes a lot of sense. It's easy to get stuck on it. We also in the chat Rebecca says we love the data, and Penny says I always like these monthly sessions as social media makes me feel old and confused, which is literally what we were talking about before we went live. Like sometimes these make me feel old too because I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok, if I'm being honest. Like it's not my platform. I'm still an Instagram girl, but I get that the world is here. So just because it's not for you does not mean that if you're trying to like be, you know, in front of a particular audience, you have to branch out sometimes.
Yeah, I'm with you. And don't get me wrong, even though I spend my whole life talking and thinking about this kind of stuff, sometimes I look at TikTok and other platforms and just despair at what I see because I'm kind of old now. So never mind. You know, you're one of us. We all feel the same.
Here we go. Perfect. Yeah. This is one of the slides where I was like, not me. I love TV. Like TV. I mean, I'm a pop culture junkie. If anyone does not know that about me, that's my whole side gig is like nerdy things. So watching the latest TV shows and movies is exactly what I do in all my spare time. But this, I could not. I'm such a I'm not of my time on this slide.
Yeah, you and me both. We fit into the millennials category on this one. But what an incredible transition this is. Like how that's changed over these 4 generations. But and the thing that's going to be really telling here is that TikTok have just released their apps for connected TVs or smart TVs or whatever you want to call them.
That's interesting. Yeah.
You know, and then you start
to wild.
Content starts, and that for us as like small businesses, etc. You know, we could never have advertised on TV, right? Because you just simply you don't have the budget. No. But now you can get your content on a TV because more people are going to be watching TikTok over TV, potentially on their TVs. So I think that's a really interesting opportunity for businesses, and that's the bit that, you know, despite like some of the kind of feel a bit old, etc. There's a real big opportunity, and I think this slide. Sorry, it's like really small, the dots here. I couldn't make it big and make it look good at the same time. So the thing here that I want to draw your attention to, because this is about reach versus time spent. So basically, how many people can you reach and how long are people spending on these certain mediums? And if there was ever a single slide to demonstrate how important social media is to grow brands, this would be that.
Yeah.
Because it's social media is sat third behind mobile and then laptop in terms of how many people use it and how long people are spending on the platform. And considering that there's never been a better way to reach people for zero budget, yes, there's a lot of tactics underneath that. You know, that's why we run all of our strategy sessions, right? That kind of stuff to help. But you know, that is incredibly compelling. And I think that should be like really encouraging for all of us thinking about how do we grow our brands moving forward over the course of this year. That social media represents a significant opportunity. So let's kind of pivot away a bit from TikTok for the moment, right? Because, you know, not everyone's on that platform. Let's look at video consumption across other platforms. So when we're thinking about how we reach people, how we engage them, as we were talking about in the last slide, these are the places where people are consuming the most video. Of course, increasingly, as we said over the last year's worth of these monthly updates we've been doing, increasingly social media is becoming more video focused, whether we like it or not. Instagram increasingly is becoming a platform where people are consuming more and more video content, and expect to see more of that over 2023. We all despair like the loss of the feed and the, you know, and the timeline. You know, as much as we mourn that, it's one of those things we need to accept that it's gone and it won't come back, unfortunately. And it's going to be increasingly Instagram. This is increasingly like TikTok, whether we like it or not. It's just, you know, times change, platforms evolve, and it is disappointing, but we, you know, pivot towards these opportunities. But Facebook is still significant for video, and you know, Facebook Lives are still one of the most engaging content formats. I spoke about some data a few months back actually related to this. It's Facebook Lives, the content format that generates the highest amount of engagement in terms of, you know, video on the platform. Also, notable shout out to Reddit. Actually, Reddit kind of
that's surprising that it's on here. Just
right?
I've never watched a video on Reddit before, so I'm surprised to see that here.
Me too. Because it's like a text-based forum
Yeah.
oriented platform, but Reddit is one of those kind of, comes into the media occasionally for some slightly
Right.
stuff that you don't really want to talk about. But it actually grows very quietly, and it's not unlike kind of TikToks in the press saying, "Oh, it's amazing, it's growing everywhere." Reddit is growing consistently, and I think it's kind of like a polar opposite trend to what we've just been talking about with TikTok becoming much more kind of entertainment driven, mass media consumption, kind of like TV, whereas Reddit's like all about micro communities. And as people get more and more fed up with social platforms focus on like this recommended content and becoming less about your friend graph and your social graph, platforms like Reddit and Discord are growing incredibly quickly. And that kind of like micro community trend is obviously one that Jordan, you and I are big advocates of. It's just really interesting to see those kind of trends splinter off. You've got the big mass media one, you've got the small micro community piece. So I wonder if you've got any take on that, Jordan, before we move on.
Well, I have a question from the chat is why is YouTube not on this? Is that because the only thing you can do on YouTube is watch videos? So it would be like 100?
Yeah, so this is
Okay.
just the core social platform outside of the kind of main, video platforms, basically. Yeah.
That makes sense. Sorry, what was your question? It was about micro
communities, right? And the kind of trend and how like Reddit, Discord are growing. Because if you think about like the bifurcation of two different trends, the big mass media thing, and you've got like micro communities like Reddit growing quickly, which just whether you had any take on that at all.
Yeah, I think it's so tricky to think about from a strategy perspective because we talk about like vanity metrics sometimes, and that's the easy stuff to get like kind of stuck on where you're like, oh, I want a lot of followers, or when something goes viral, like it does on like the bigger platforms instead. But I don't know. That's such a sweet spot for me, like actually making relationships and like getting to know people and being a part of a community. You can do that. Like I think you can have a big presence on like Instagram or TikTok and still feel like you have a community, like you have fans. But personally, I'm always in the corner of like Reddit, Discord, and I would love to see that. I would love to see that be like a place that more people hang out, because I genuinely think it's better for my mental health too. Like I would rather talk to someone in a Discord where we're chatting about something than like think about how I can put together a piece of, a video or a post that everyone's gonna love, because that's not really, I don't know, for me that's not the point of social media. That's not what I use it for.
It's so good to hear your kind of perspective on that. That's why thought I would turn to you on that one, because social media is not all about going viral mass media. It's just knowing who you're trying to appeal to and building your tribe. So totally with that. So this was another trend that you were like was so not you. So
yes, this is not for me.
So let's flick to the trends section before we get into like network by network, the different updates, etc. Increasingly, people are getting their news from social media as opposed to traditional news sources, and we've seen that as a result of the pandemic. We've seen that increasingly shift, especially as trust in media gets to all-time lows. Like increasingly, TikTok, not only is it being used as a replacement for TV, I mean, actually, as a result of it being used as a replacement for TV, increasingly people are seeing it as the place to get news. Now, that's interesting and concerning in equal measure, but we'll stick with a kind of interesting angle on it. But as you'll see, that the younger demographic increasingly using it as a news source. But the thing that makes this particularly interesting when you start to compare it to the other platforms. It's quite a busy slide, this one, but the main thing you need to see, and the key takeaway here is like on Twitter and Facebook, most people follow the mainstream news outlets or the big journalists within them, like the finance reporter of the Wall Street Journal, whatever it might. You follow those people that historically have been trusted. Not saying they're not trusted now, but they're kind of in old media type of terms. Whereas TikTok You see that isn't really a thing, where that kind of black line is about internet personalities. So when I say it's slightly concerning, because that younger generation getting their news from individuals, not necessarily those accredited news sources, but it means that it's actually a really interesting dynamic that we're starting to see play out, and we've seen it play out for a few years, where it's much more focused on the individual creator, where a lot of the community comes around and where trust is built. And I think that's the more positive message to take out of this, is that those, just because you're a big brand, you're a Wall Street Journal or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to continue to carry the weight across social media. Social media actually starts to level the playing field, and platforms like TikTok have done a lot in terms of leveling the playing field, in terms of who can rise to significance and who can view content, because it's never been easier with basically 0 followers to reach so many people. So provided that you've got a good message to share and you've got a good story to tell, that's where the opportunity sits. And increasingly we're seeing from a social media perspective that more and more emphasis and trust is being put in individual personalities as opposed to brands. Now that, I think, is a really interesting thing. Jordan, any take on this?
I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this that are probably not suited for this video, but I would say the only thing which I think is important, like news or not, to think about on social media especially, is like anyone can say anything, and that does not mean they're not saying, something that's correct. But I would just always do research, especially if you're seeing people say opposite things. Just look into it more. I think that's something about literally everything, like not just news. But just because you see one person say one thing on social and they have a lot of views does not mean it's true. So just be careful. But literally I think that is something that you should do with traditional media sources too. Just do your research and think about things.
Definitely agree with that. I'd like to have seen this data for Instagram too, and see how. I expect it to be a bit of a balance of the two, but either way, the power of the personal brand is real and significant. That's that's really exciting. Right, let's go into pure kind of e-commerce, talking about business kind of things, and talking about something where Instagram is the top of a chart, which we don't often see at the moment. But this is a really encouraging thing. So, 61% of 175,000 users saying one of their primary roles of using Instagram is to find products or find information about it. So this can be a really useful chart, engaging some of the focus as to what platforms you potentially will bring into your strategy throughout the course of 2023 to help you raise the profile of your products. Maybe if you're an e-com business or something like that, this can help inform that strategy. I know, for you, Jordan, you've had a lot of success with Instagram, right?
Yes. And also I get targeted ads all the time that have led to me buying a lot. I purchased a lot of things over the holidays, especially for gifts that were ads. So this is one that yes, this feels totally accurate to me. Facebook gets me too. I think because, if you put a lot of information about yourself by what you like and what you follow, then the nice thing is you can find a lot of brands that really are exactly what you want to find. The bad thing is sometimes you want to buy everything, which is where I get trapped. But I totally agree with this.
Yeah, I love it. In fact, one of the new updates we're going to go through shortly will actually really help with targeting the right individuals. So we'll come to that. I've touched on similar outcomes before, but I saw this was a new chart that I've not seen before, so I thought I would share it. The high level here, and we've spoken about it just a couple of slides ago, that if you don't have very many followers, so you're well below 10,000 and around 100 or so, TikTok beats Instagram for the amount of engagement you'll get. And there's a reason for that. Is because when you have a product that's not orientated around the people that follow you, naturally you have much more opportunity of your content being recommended to others. So, no surprise that TikTok wins out. Not to say that you'll post and you'll go viral straight away, but clearly you'll see there is more significant opportunity on TikTok if you don't have very many followers to get some early stage growth. So that's a kind of core message here. Quick kind of call out. Let's do a quick ad break before we go into the next one. So do you want to talk about the Insiders group if people aren't familiar with that?
Yeah, you can search Adobe Express Insiders on Facebook. It's our Facebook group where a lot of the Adobe Express team hangs out. Andy and I hang out there. So if you have questions in between live streams, like obviously we have people asking questions in the chat, which is great, but you can hop into our Facebook group. We're in there all the time, especially if you have product questions, but even if you have like, hey, I want to start a new campaign on Instagram and I would love a set of eyes on like, do you think, this post is doing what I want it to, or do you have any ideas of like the types of captions I should use? Any of that stuff, we're there to help. So yeah, you can find us when we're not live in the Facebook group.
And I'm going to call on you again to talk about
I actually set this up for all of my brands over the holidays. I was very productive over the holidays, which I'm not always. But Content Scheduler, if you have not heard of it or checked it out, is one of my favorite Adobe Express features because you can schedule to social directly from Adobe Express or from your machine. So you can like make a project and then just put it out on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, or Facebook. And we have other ones coming soon. Or if you have photos or other things that aren't through Adobe Express, you can just upload them. But here is my favorite trick. If you see the kind of purpley, yes, the purpley post here, that is a draft post, which you can use to plan. And you can do that with a free account too. So like I can plan what I want to go out each day, even if I don't have all the content ready to post. And clearly here I missed a couple days. So like you can use it however you want. But I love that's a trick that Andy taught me. So that if you just want to see a calendar laid out, the Content Scheduler calendar goes like unlimited into the future. So you can plan if something's happening once a month for the whole rest of the year, you can put it in there. So if you're like very motivated at the beginning of the year, like me, and then maybe forget all of your plans by July, you can put these draft posts in. So you're like, oh yeah, I was going to post a community spotlight every Friday and I don't have to think about what I'm doing anymore. So those are my two favorite things about Content Scheduler. We have a ton of videos on the Adobe Express YouTube channel too, if you want to deep dive more into that.
Love it. All right, thanks for that, Jordan.
My pleasure.
Cool. All right, new feature, the start of Instagram. Instagram have been very busy, and actually it's probably one of the best months of some real good stuff that we can jump in and use straight away. So yeah, excited to talk through some of this. So firstly, this is probably the most minor thing, but it's worthwhile knowing, is that on Reels, you've now got a share counter as well. You didn't have that before. So, sharing being great for driving like virality and engagement of your content. And now you can track that. Pretty simple. This is a question I've got so much.
I was going to say this, I feel like is in the chat every time we talk about Instagram. So
like, why am I not getting the reach? Like why did my content suddenly tank? This was really good. So if you don't follow Adam Mazzeri from Instagram on Instagram, I probably suggest you do, so you don't have to wait for these every month, because Adam is the head of Instagram, so he's always talking about like the latest things they're working on from a product perspective, and usually getting hammered in the comments with very unhappy people at the same time. Bless him. But yeah, this demystifying shadow bans, if you're not familiar with them, is like sometimes a bit of a mystery why sometimes your content just doesn't go anywhere. Like you used to reach loads of people, now you don't, but now it's going to tell you if like this content is not good enough, it contains something that breaches our terms of service. Basically, as you can see here, this can't be recommended to non-followers. There's it basically is going to give you clarity, which is what we've all wanted. Like if it's not working, that's fine, just tell me why. So I think it's a really good one.
This is my favorite.
I thought it might be. So when this will be available for everyone, I think it seems to be rolling out kind of slowly in a phased way, but you can see here, so let's walk through it. So there's a sticker for creating a community channel. And as you can see here, we can choose who can join, we can moderate the chat. obviously stay kind and respectful, etc. So that's a kind of like intro screen, and then we can name the community channel and join the channel and start it. So essentially this is like a mini Facebook groups, but on Instagram. So here, the functionality of it works exactly as we'd expect like a community platform to work. Lots of people can join it, they can post, etc. You know, it doesn't have the same rigor as Facebook, as I'm sure you can imagine, but considering we all have like communities in Instagram that we would call our communities because they're our followers, this really allows us to really create, you know, put our arms around that core of followers that are, you know, super engaged. So you're the community person out of us two, really, even more so than me. So yeah, interested in
I'm
your
so excited. No, this is great because I think the thing that like I have found friends and community on Instagram. I think that's why I love it so much, because that platform just really works for what I'm trying to do and where people I'm trying to reach are. But there isn't, other than following a hashtag and like just kind of, you know, being in touch with posts that are in a certain tag, I haven't really found a way to like collect people in one place. So this is great, especially if you're doing some sort of project. Like on Instagram, I do fashion challenges a lot. And so it'd be really fun to be like, hey, you can opt in and like share your posts here. We share them, excuse me, on a hashtag, but it would be cool to actually be able to like stay connected in between. Or I mean, even I'm thinking about even Adobe Express, like I hang out on Instagram more than Facebook. So it'd be cool to be like, hey, this is, you know, a mini insiders on Instagram where we can just share the posts that we or questions about Express or whatever. I'm really excited to check this out.
Oh yeah, me too. So when it will roll out to everyone, I still don't know. It's coming, you know, in the next couple of months, and some people might have it already. So go ahead and check whether you got that sticker.
Yeah, that's cool.
If it looks good for you. This links to this quite nicely, and I think, Jordan, this would be quite cool for those fashion.
Yes.
Yes. So basically, it's kind of like, you know, this allows you to create a group profile around a certain interest, maybe a fashion challenge or whatever. Like, it's perfect for like some of the stuff that you do, and then people can upload their own contributions to that. So yeah, fashion challenges, you don't have to follow that hashtag. But this would be amazing for that.
Yeah, I've done one where like I made a profile, but then it's just like another profile to manage, and then one person has to do it all. Like, this will be a game changer. So I'm extremely excited about this.
Yeah, Instagram certainly, like over the course of December, really started to like lean in on a lot of the kind of community and collaborative elements,
Right.
which they really should do, because that's the strength, right? Their strength is in the social graph that they have. So, you know, whether this kind of focus will continue, but it's kind of renewing my energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah, I love it.
This one, I'm slightly less excited about, I'll say, but this notes feature here allows everyone to put in, and I think this is less business, more kind of personal, but if you've got a close community on Insta, this could be a good thing. So you can put a kind of 60 character status, if you will, kind of similar to the old Facebook status, basically, which is a prompt to start conversations. And the reason Instagram are doing this is that there's been a big rise in people private sharing. So rather than wanting to post to the feed, wanting to DM people directly and having those conversations and sharing things in those private groups. So those these notes really are, consider them like conversation prompts, if you will, which then leans more into that spirit of DMing. So yeah, interesting to see. Unless, like I said, I don't think that will be game changing, but it's quite interesting to see where they're going. So next one in the series of Instagram rip-offs of different products. So obviously stories from Snapchat, you know, reels from TikTok, and now we got candid stories from Be Real. So the third in the line. So now this, exactly, if you know, if anyone that's using Be Real, are you still using Be Real?
I am, but like this is so fascinating to me because I've seen this and I accidentally stumbled into the TikTok version too. I forget what it's called, but
Yeah.
like TikTok Now or something.
Yeah,
That's
that's
how
it.
much I know. But the thing to me about Be Real is that the entire platform is like not curated. Like that's kind of the thing. It's like, oh, we're all here posting our in the moment, things. So doing a candid on a platform that's really, the rest of it's really curated, like just doesn't do it for me. But I'm maybe not the target audience for it either.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just think it's kind of silly. Like, I guess the idea of doing like a dual screen front and back is interesting, but I don't know.
Being in the moment, like it's focused on authenticity. I get that. Less about kind of pre-scheduled strategic sharing for sure. If you got a larger community on Insta that you want to share something that is, maybe you're in doing something really interesting and it is worthwhile sharing that. I'm skeptical whether this will stay around. I feel like it's like mid 21 where everyone was falling over themselves to create a Clubhouse type of
Yeah.
solution, of which Instagram did and then scrapped when they realized that that content format just wasn't a thing. It captured a moment, it was a bit zeitgeisty, and then it just kind of disappeared. So we shall see, kind of ruminating on that one a little bit. This, however, I do think is pretty useful. So this is add yours nomination. So we've spoken about the add your sticker quite a few times, both in stories and reels. And as the name suggests, allows other people to interact and build on your content. Because if you sent a picture of you and your dog, like in this example, and someone could press add yours, and it becomes like a pyramid of content, if you will. And that's what I love. What like TikTok has really pioneered this, and it's great that other platforms are looking into this. It's become much more content creation has become much more participatory. So getting more people involved in your content, super cool. And this is about nominating as someone else, which can be really good for certain challenges, for example. Yeah, another way to spark engagement in a meaningful way, making, and this is the killer point here, is like making your customers the champion of your content. And that is the bit that I love the most.
So do you actually tag someone that is that how the nomination part works? Or do you know, is that okay, cool. Because that's the thing. Like I see these a lot and I am so much more likely to do them if someone tags me in it than if I just see it. I'm like, oh, whatever. But if someone, basically asks me to, then I will. So I think that makes a ton of sense.
And it's a great way because, if you don't have tons of followers and you like the whole idea of add yours and you don't really want it to be like a, ghost town.
Yeah, I like that.
Some like good friends to be like, hey, Jordan, show me X or whatever it might be. That's super powerful.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool. Time check. How are we doing? I think we're good. Right. Facebook.
Yeah.
Story comments. Simple as that. You can comment on stories before. Now you can on Facebook. If anyone actually does Facebook stories, I'll be very interested to know in the chat. Not something that I hear a lot about, but now you can have some.
Yeah, let us know if you use this. I don't. I will be honest, I don't.
So it's another place for engagement in stories. One that'll be useful probably for maybe for you, Jordan, probably less so because the group is super engaged. But for anyone that's still building Facebook groups, and when I said still building, like it makes it seem like it's a old or outdated thing to do, which
it's been around for so long, and it just feels like things don't stick around that long. Is why I think like that. Like I started my personal Facebook group. I mean, I don't know, more than 5 years ago. Like that feels like a long time to have something.
That is true. That is true. They're still super powerful, and I mean, like that, the Express Insiders group has been wonderful, and the groups that we had created before at Content Cal were wonderful. So this Content Explorer basically helps surface content that might be good for you to share with a group, because that's honestly one of the, there's a lot of hard things about building a community. Like setting up a Facebook group's the easy bit. Like talking, inviting people and finding people, that's kind of hard. But then
moderating it, making sure people are talking about things that make sense. Making sure people are talking about things at all. Yeah.
Stoking that conversation is super hard when you're not Adobe and you've got like millions of users, etc. So it's like, for a smaller brand trying to get this going. So this Content Explorer could be really useful. So that's live now. So this is a new small update from Facebook, but once again,
Interesting.
yeah, it shows like how they're focusing cross-platforms. So Facebook and Insta are kind of becoming one, if you will. So here, when you're creating something in the feed, you can just send it directly in an Insta direct message. And whilst that's, I don't think that feature's critical to grow our brands, I wanted to flag it because it just goes to show that point I made earlier about that rise in private sharing. And increasingly we're seeing more features to facilitate that.
This
Ready?
I do like. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm into this. And I think that makes making reels easier. It's great for me.
that's exactly it. So this is the next phase, and they're starting 2023, how they mean to go on, where they're like reels, 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 reels. Right. Instagram, Facebook, that's what they're going to focus on. So short form video, we know it's important. And here, whilst you can save your drafts, you've got a gallery of your images. Basically, let's just skip to the good bit. Here's some ready-made stuff ready for you, which it will take anything you've previously posted on Facebook and basically use Facebook's intelligence and AI to then go, hey, this would be a good combination of these carousels or videos on Facebook, or videos or static images. Here's a ready-made reel for you. Do you want to post it? So yeah, that should be live now. Obviously, I don't know about kind of different countries and localities, etc., but should be live now, so it should be ready for everyone to get involved with. And like you, Jordan, anything that lowers the barriers to content creation,
oh my God.
I'm here for.
Oh yeah.
Cool. I said earlier that there was a way to improve Instagram targeting to make sure more people like you, Jordan, can be targeted to spend more of your money.
Oh my God, I know. No one do this. It's so bad for me. It's so good though.
And I guess this is kind of what people can do, and you never could do this before, which is kind of a bit weird. It seems like an obvious thing, but so if people are following you, so here you are on Facebook, you're building an audience for your Facebook ads, and you can target people who just started following your Instagram account, provided it was a professional account. So that's super powerful. It's cross-platform targeting, and they should be great people to target because they've just started following you. So yeah, another nice ability to target audience. We don't talk about paid stuff here on this session, because we focus more on organic things for small businesses that don't cost anything. But I thought that was too good an update to miss.
Twitter. We haven't talked about Twitter in a minute.
We have not. Yeah, we've been deliberately avoiding it. So there are
this is just hilarious to me. This whole everything about Twitter right now is so wild to watch.
It is fascinating. I maintain my confidence that over the course of 23, it's gonna end up in a good place, despite some of the pain right now. It just goes to show, despite the amount of craziness that's going on, like it doesn't seem to affect usage, right? As much as we might think in the media, like, oh, it's an absolute disaster, and if you're an employee, it probably is a disaster from your perspective. But as far as users are going, this media storm, this show, if you will, is drawing people in, which is very interesting. Now, here's the worst slide you've ever seen in your life. So I don't expect you to read this all, but I wanted to flag it because there's no other way of like demonstrating a relaunch of Twitter Blue, because
and that's paid. Is that, I don't really even know what this is. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for calling this out. So be clear. Yes, Blue is their paid subscription, and it's a really interesting thing to watch because not only has this been obviously, let's get rid of like the debacle of them launching it with a complete mess, but this then starts to show like, would social media, or can social media become a paid for experience, right? Could an ad-free world of social media actually work where we pay to get the best experiences? So this is just, for high level kind of macro view, it's an interesting one to watch. But if Twitter is your thing, I think Blue does represent a bit of an opportunity. I think the edit button is kind of fine. I'm quite excited, but I don't share that excitement. Longer videos, video uploads, great. But I think the thing that is significant actually, and I found it in like some support doc somewhere, kind of hidden, is that Twitter Blue kind of alluded to the fact that Twitter Blue subscribers will be prioritized in how much their tweets are shown. And it kind of makes sense, right? If you pay for the platform, your content is going to be seen by more people. So I think in the fullness of time, subscribing to Twitter will be an essential component of doing business on Twitter. So that's why I kind of wanted to flag that.
Yeah, interesting.
But I'm going to kind of leave Twitter there. There's lots of stuff going on, and we'll try our best to make sense of it for everyone. LinkedIn, lot of good stuff on LinkedIn. Actually, LinkedIn are really up in their game. And Jordan, you're spending more time on LinkedIn, I noticed.
I like it now. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I used it when I was trying to get a job out of school, and then I like forgot about it for a decade. It's pretty great. And the thing that I like about it the most is that it's not messy. Like, not everything in my feed is interesting, but none of it's trash. Like, it's people genuinely posting like professional, interesting things or life updates, and not just like, I don't know, Facebook sometimes is the Wild West of random links. It feels very intentional, and then that is nice for me. So it's good for connections too. Like, yeah. It's genuinely great.
I think there's generally a better vibe because there is a lot more personal reputation at stake, because
right.
we stand behind ourselves, as a platform. I think that's a really different, it creates a real different vibe. It's no pseudonyms or profile names or whatever, it's us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think like LinkedIn is becoming a really good platform. Once again, it kind of goes back to the point I mentioned earlier on in today's session, which is like the power of the personal brand is significant. LinkedIn used to be company profiles giving all manner of nonsense about like, oh, I'm really proud to have won this. Shut up, no one cares. Like,
right, it's just like, here's the promotions I got, and that's it. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, now it's much more personal brands giving, personal brand individuals giving their own perspectives with humility, with a real kind of meaning and an educational purpose behind it. So that's why I'm pretty jazzed up about LinkedIn. It's my favorite anyway. Auto captions, super useful. So this is what this section is all about. Amazing for accessibility. LinkedIn are doing a lot to improve accessibility, which then leaks onto these, like a bucket of new features here, like high contrast mode, again for accessibility. That's for cool. Mobile devices. Emoji pickers look a bit better. Finally, LinkedIn are actually starting.
Great.
Well, hey, look, emojis, aren't we cool?
It's amazing.
Down with the kids now. I think, LinkedIn get there.
Yeah, I like it. I'll take it happening slowly versus like a bunch of messy tools all the time. So like, I'll take it.
Definitely. And newsletters are an interesting one. They're really, really pushing newsletters, and weighing up where you put your newsletter, like whether it's kind of like on Substack. Would you host it on your own domain or put it on LinkedIn? LinkedIn's created quite a compelling solution for building and growing a newsletter, and make it really easy to gather subscribers on that. So yeah, super powerful.
I imagine that's great too. Like, I mean, I have an e-commerce shop, so that's probably not for me. But if you are, like you said, if you are an individual who wants to share information and maybe don't feel like setting up an entire website with a landing page and then figuring out your email list and paying for it, like, I can really see the benefit of that.
If we weren't doing this kind of social updates together, Jordan, I would 100% have done that if I was doing this solo. That's the reason I chose Substack, because it's easier to do it together. But
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this makes a whole heap of sense if you're an individual, and you want to like gather like a core subset of your followers that really want to receive your content. You're going to guarantee the receipt of it, which is so important. Competitor analytics, they've updated it with some new metrics. You find more competitors in there and compare more and contrast them. So, if you've got it's this more oriented towards the B2B, but if you're in competition with others, you can see about followers, new followers, growth, engagement, that kind of stuff. LinkedIn are leaning in on carousels, which by a long way are the best performing content. If you're on LinkedIn regularly, you would have seen an absolute explosion in the amount of carousels that you can see. You can also make them really nicely on Adobe Express as well. So here, what we mean by carousels, just to be clear, is kind of like a multi-page post where people can scroll through. They're also improving like some templates and such, but to be honest, I'll be as balanced as I can. You probably want to use a better design tool because, as you can see, this is a little basic. So LinkedIn are doing a lot though to try and encourage content creation, but you might be better off just creating something in Express and then posting it as a carousel here.
That's what I do. So I'm with you there.
And yeah, analytics for creators. So if you've got creator mode switched on, which if I say this time and time again, if you're an individual, did you put creator mode on?
Yes, I did. I did. And I remember yes, I did. But it took me a minute to figure it out. I think I had to ask you how to do it.
I remember. Yeah. I remember. So cool. Yeah. So long as you've got creator mode on, it's just easier to grow your account, and we can get some better insights, top performing content, so we can learn from the things that worked well last year. So we put them into next year. Flying through TikTok, new posted drafts feature to make it easier to draft and plan our content. Full screen mode is coming, so this is exactly the same as YouTube. Change your orientation and we can watch full screen. So as you can see, that they are going after YouTube, and they're also going after Google as well because of like location tagging.
Yeah.
Increasingly, people are finding like restaurants to eat at, going to a pizza joint down the road because they're seeing people post about it with a location tag. So watch out for this year for how significant TikTok is going to be in like, eating some of Google's lunch, basically.
Right.
Finally, onto YouTube. I'm actually going to gloss over that one real quick in the interest of time. New analytics as well. So YouTube Shorts, I think, is going to be a significant growth opportunity for this year. It's kind of where TikTok was a couple of years ago, where we can get super amounts of engagement despite not many followers. And here's where we can track that, both from web and mobile. And I've put Amazon on here.
I know. I was scrolling through ahead of time and I was like, what is this?
So they've launched Inspire. They did this in December. This is not the first time Amazon have tried to go into a social media space, but they've hooked up with a bunch of creators, Amazon influencers, and basically it's like a TikTok-like feed that is all orientated around e-commerce. So if you have a store on Amazon, you sell products there, this could be a interesting thing to try out. Will it won't succeed. Oh, well, I might be wrong. I presume it won't succeed as a social platform because there's only one intent, is just to sell stuff.
Yeah.
But it shows how nervous Amazon are about TikTok because, it's about the whole discovery piece, because increasingly we're seeing social drive product discovery. We saw this from Instagram statistics earlier, right? So Amazon are worried about that because, this very much impacts their business. It's fascinating to see all this play out, right? How like YouTube are under threat from TikTok. TikTok are trying to take on Google. Amazon are trying to like resist the threat from social media platforms. So a lot going on at a macro level. But you made it. You have made it.
You did it.
I wanted to kind of finish off. I'm sorry I've been speaking so much today. There's obviously a lot to get through. But for the final 3 minutes, I want to give you 9 trend predictions for 23.
And feel free to take a screenshot of this too, if you want, if you're watching.
That is a good call. That is a very good call.
I love that.
I still think TikTok is going to be the most heavily used platform. I don't think it'll be banned, but I might be wrong, but it will continue to be big. YouTube Shorts, we just spoke about it. It's going to be TikTok's biggest challenger. And I think this is from an organic perspective, they want to push this big time. So I think there's going to be fantastic opportunity to drive engagement, despite the fact of us potentially not having very many followers. Micro communities, I spent a lot of time speaking about that. And because social media is increasingly shifting to kind of like a recommended model, less about social graph, more about entertainment, as a result, lots of people get fed up with that and start orientating towards micro communities, which, Jordan, you gave a good narrative on that. Because these micro communities will become so significant, it means more creators come to the fore, creating their own communities. which means collaboration will be essential for growth. Jordan and I talk about this all the time. Think beyond your feed, working with others. We saw that in like that TikTok statistic, or those TikTok statistics earlier, about like the influence that those personalities have. So powerful. LinkedIn going to be leaning heavily on creators. Personal branding is going to continue to grow and become more important on LinkedIn. Social commerce will continue to rise. So never been a better time to be a B2C consumer brand, being able to sell products across social. Twitter will win in the end, but it's going to keep us on our toes in the short term. That's and probably recommending a wait and see approach I would on that. And yeah, the platform that provides the best monetary incentives for creators will win. Choosing who we work with is more important than choosing the platform that we're on. So finding where those communities for the tribes we want to create, the tribes we want to be with, and who's kind of running those communities, finding those individuals is going to be so important. Yeah, and Insta, who knows, to be honest. Reels will continue to be a big focus, but as you can see, like just from December and January already, they've launched some really useful community focus features. So yeah, I think it's still in a bit of an identity crisis right now. So they are my predictions for 23. And with that, I'm going to stop talking.
Well, I love it. Thanks for laying all of this out. And like we said, if you want to make sure to stay up to date with all of this, you can follow us. Our handles were just there. I'm at Jordan Danae Ellis. Andy is at Andy R. Lambert. And then, yeah, you can join our newsletter where we will recap everything, let you know when our streams are coming up. I'll say our next stream, we're going to be still doing these and also deep diving into platforms. So our next is Facebook. If you want to use Facebook for your business, no matter what it is, we're going to show a bunch of different ways that you can, like strategies you can use, literally demoing different types of posts and how they work for whatever type of business you have. So that's what's coming up next for us. But thank you all so much for joining us today. Yeah, you can follow the Adobe Express YouTube channel for tons of videos. You can follow Andy and I for social media updates. And I think that's it. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Andy, so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.